Hello and welcome to Sombre Hill. I'm Jonathan, and today we're going to be going over my upgraded and customized Etrigan figure. Etrigan was actually bound by the wizard Merlin to the mortal man Jason Blood, and Jason can actually transform into Etrigan and let him take over. And while Etrigan has fought on the side of good, and even at times with characters that are allies of the Justice League and Batman himself, his allegiance can be questionable. The base figure that I used for this custom is from McfarlaneToys. They've actually been doing a really good job with a lot of the DC figures recently. I already knew that I was going to weather his armor and make him look a little bit more gritty, but I also wanted to incorporate some extra parts from another figure, the Batman from the Dark Knight's Heavy Metal comic series. He actually had these skull chains on his belt, and I decided to steal them and give them to Etrigan because I thought the detail it would add would be nice. But with all that said, let's get into the custom, and the first thing we're going to start off with is weathering. So to weather this figure, I just took some black acrylic paint and watered it down. This is just so that the black paint can fill the little cracks and crevices and leave some shadows, give it some depth and some detail. And all I did was just rub this paint off after I let it sit on the figure for a little bit. I did this to all of the scaly parts of armor. And I think the end result after doing this a couple times makes it look a little bit more realistic. Because as you can see here with the legs, it kind of has like a pearl effect before you paint on it. For the head, all I did was a wash of olive. I felt like that might react kind of cool with the orange-yellow skin tone. And I also ended up painting it on the ears as well. After I was done with weathering, I moved on to adding some detail. And this was really fun. This was just the little decoration parts on the armor, and I wanted to highlight them in red. I'd seen some comic covers, I think, that had the armor that looked something like this with some more red detail on it. So I thought I'd bring that out, and it ended up looking really, really nice. And then I went over the toenails and the fingernails with this bone color that kind of matched the horns on his head. Next, I took the little Batman chains with the skulls, and all I did was glue them on to the belt. Next, I went over the gunmetal parts of the armor with this silver rub and buff. I've used this before. It gives things a little bit extra shine. I also did the same thing on the gauntlets. And I also painted the red detailing and the silver on his leg armor. Now this is a little preview of the figure before I'm finished. As you can see, there's some things that were done off camera. I added some blood to his gauntlets and to his blade. Tried to give it a more realistic pattern. And then this is part of an old necklace that I decided to replace the chains on his belt with, because I just felt like there's really no reason that I can't just make it real metal anyway, so I might as well. And I just cut the old plastic ones off and glued the new ones on. Here I replaced the plastic with some fabric that I weathered up off camera. The original cape that he came with was pretty cool, but I felt like it was a little too bulky, and it was also just plastic, so I wanted to upgrade that. I had this leather strip that was left over from a different project, and I just decided to cut that into a point. And then I used these like brass button buckle pieces from the craft store to secure them onto his chest, because the holes where his old cape used to be were left over. And then basically just glue it onto his chest. Alright guys, now we're going to be moving on to a slideshow of some photos that I took after I was finished with the figure, and then I'll see you again at the end. This is a clip that you clip onto your pants? I'm in long johns.
So I'll clip it onto them johns.
We're good. Alright guys, so I'm here with the finished figure. Some of this stuff was done off camera. As you can see, he has a leather strap on the handle of his sword, and there's some weathering on his cape as well. I'm going to be going over this stuff really quick. Essentially what I wanted to do with this guy was make him a little bit more brutal, look a little bit more savage. I also thought he was a little bit too like clean. So one thing I did off camera was I actually added this fabric here, and I did the same thing on the back to replace the plastic fabric. And as you can see here, I weathered the gauntlets, so they do have some blood on them. Does it want to focus? You want to focus? There we go. But yeah, I weathered his gauntlets on both sides, and some features like his hands. I did add some gold detail as well to the sword, and this blood detail, which was all painted on. I used to, when I was younger, I used to do that technique of just putting paint on a toothbrush and using the bristles to splatter the paint on. It doesn't look realistic most of the time, unless you're going for like a blood spray effect. And so this just came out really nice. I did this with a really fine brush. The cape that I did for him, it's a piece of leather left over from the craft store, and I used different patches of the same fabric, but painted different colors to look like patchwork, like he's been fixing it. The articulation with this guy is not very good, so you know, you can kind of just like only really have him in this pose. Make him in like an intimidating standing pose. There's some mods you could probably do if you dremeled this out. Maybe you could definitely still like play with him. He's sealed and everything, so that's like one thing that's really cool about these. I want to keep the action figure aspect of it, where you can really play with it and pose it and do like figure photography with it and not worry about the paint coming off or anything. But yeah, that's Etrigan, and it's just a really nice figure to add to my small DC collection. Alright guys, I want to thank you for making it this far into the video. I hope you enjoyed it. I actually knew less about Etrigan before getting into this custom, so it was cool reading up on the different like fandom Wikipedia pages about the character. It was a lot of fun, it really was. I got some other projects in the works that I'm really trying to push myself to work on. But if all goes well, I have some really cool stuff to show you guys. Aside from that, I also want to express some gratitude for all of you that have been supporting me, because as of recording this video, let me actually check really quick because it could have changed, I'm not sure. We are at 110 subscribers right now, so I've actually unlocked the ability to make posts on this channel, which is really cool. I'm about 4 subscribers away right now from reaching 100 on Sombre Fever, my other channel. And again, thank you guys, I really appreciate that. Also, let me know what you thought of this video in this custom. I learned a lot of new techniques with After Effects for the actual video, and also new techniques for customizing this figure. But that's all I gotta say. So again, I want to thank you guys. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope you have a great rest of your day. Peace.